Let's talk about the best elite benefits from hotels. And I think, when we talk about these elite benefits, we kind of need to break it out into a couple of different categories. So the first thing I would say, when we talk about hotel elite benefits, best hotel elite benefits, we got to talk about on property benefits when you're actually staying, the benefits that you get during your stay. And I think you just can't touch Hyatt. I mean, nobody else really
Right.
comes close to the benefits that Hyatt offers for their top tier elite members. And I should be clear that it's only for their top tier elite members that they do kind of surprise and delight and go above and beyond.
That's right. That's right. Although one of those top tier elite benefits is the ability to book um, guest of honor stays for your friends or relatives, and so they can experience those benefits too. And things like free parking, including free valet parking, can be just unbelievably valuable, especially at big city hotels. And the consistency with free breakfast, free lounge access, and all that kind of stuff. 4 p.m. late checkout, unless it's a resort. They really do a great job of consistently delivering those benefits at most Hyatt hotels, and they're just terrific. Like Nick said, no one else comes close.
No, they don't. They don't, because there's no monkeying around with, do I get breakfast here? Do I not get breakfast? And is it going to be a muffin, or what's it? It's generally you almost always count on the fact you're gonna have a good breakfast. You're gonna have free parking. You're on an award stay. You're gonna have all those other things that Greg talked about, the late checkout, blah blah blah, and you're not gonna have to fight for it for the most part. So, as in terms of on property recognition, I think Hyatt wins. Also, I think most globalists will tell you that you're not going to get a suite every time at check in, but you probably have a much higher percentage of success with getting a suite on check-in as a Hyatt Globalist than you do a top tier elite with any other program. It's going to vary based on season and where you're going in the hotel. There's so many different variables where you won't
Sure.
get a suite plenty of times. However, if there's one available on a case by case basis, if we're just going percentages, you get a much better shot at Hyatt recognizing top tier elite status and giving you access to that suite, giving you a suite upgrade at check-in, even if you don't use an upgrade instrument in advance. It's happened to me plenty of times as a Hyatt Globalist member. So I think that makes it very good too, and enhances your stay. But all right,
Mhm.
speaking of suites, let's talk about milestone awards, because one of my favorite Hyatt milestone awards is their suite upgrades. If you stay 50 nights a year, then you get 2 suite upgrades. If you stay 60 nights a year, you get 2 more. And those suite upgrades can be used on a paid or an award stay of up to 7 nights. So you can have a booking that's up to 7 nights long and upgrade it to a standard suite. And that works at like basically any Hyatt property that has a standard suite, as long as it's available, as long as that standard suite is available. And it doesn't have to be available as an award, by the way. It can be available just for sale. As long as there's a standard suite available for sale, you can upgrade to it. So that is one of the best milestone benefits in the business. But I think it's hard to talk about only Hyatt milestone benefits, because you do have to stay 50 or 60 nights, and that's a tall order. But IHG
Sure
makes it a
is.
lot easier.
They do. They do. At only 20 nights, you can get a suite upgrade certificate with IHG. So that's got to be the best milestone benefit in the hotel business. I mean,
I agree.
their suite upgrades are not as good as Hyatt's, because Hyatt's you can apply at the time of booking, whereas IHG you have to wait till 14 days before your stay. But they do confirm them, unlike Marriott's suite upgrades. So if you call and the suite's available when you call, they should confirm it then.
Yeah, I mean, that's
All
great.
right.
Being able to get that at just 20 nights, that's an awesome elite benefit that you don't even need top tier elite status to access. So I think that's probably, like Greg said, probably the best milestone reward. Suite upgrade at 20 nights with IHG. That's a very low bar for a suite upgrade. All right, best return on spend. If you're an elite member, you're a top tier elite member, if you're going to go after top tier elite status in one of the hotel programs, which one is the best for everyday hotel spend? And when I say everyday hotel spend, I mean at most properties. Most of these chains that have some limited service properties have a slightly different earn rate. And so rather than get into the weeds as to whether the, town place suites is more than the embassy suites or whatever, let's just say generally at the majority of full service properties anyway, which is the best chain for return on spend?
So there, it turns out that Marriott has the edge. It's not by a large margin, but they do, compared to other major chains, give you more for your buck. Um, when if you have elite status, uh, you get with all the chains. With elite status, you get a bonus on the point earnings, and Marriott's just like the others in that way, and their points are worth just enough that it gives you a good return on spend. And depending on your elite level, it's going to be somewhere in the, what is it, like 13 to
Yeah,
18% range, depending on your elite
I
status.
think at top tier, I think it's about 14%, and that's just a hair above
Okay.
Hyatt. So because our reasonable redemption value for Marriott points is 0.8 cents per point, and you'll earn 17 and a half Marriott points per dollar spent with a titanium or ambassador status, which is exactly 14% return on spend. And with Hyatt, we peg the World of Hyatt points at 2.1 cents per point. A top tier globalist will earn 6.5 points per dollar spent, and that's 13.65% back in terms of return on spend. So it's very close. 13.65 for Hyatt,
Very
14
close.
for
Yeah.
Marriott. And really the rest of them are pretty close too. They're all like 12 or 13% for top tier members.
Mhm.
So we're talking about splitting hairs over a percentage point or two at most. But if you're looking for the best bang for your buck in terms of return on spend, Marriott is it. And of course, with Marriott's footprint, it's very easy to find a Marriott property where you can earn that 14-ish% back. So it's very simple to find that. Now, when you figure in promotions, that's where it starts to get tricky because Hilton runs so many promotions, and Hilton's promotions quickly make them a better return on spend. So when they run their double or triple points,
Right.
then all bets are off. Hilton is probably going to be the best return on spend during most of their promos. Marriott's promos have been very weak and usually are not going to return enough to beat out Hilton's.
Right, right. I think that's very important to talk about Hilton, because Hilton is the easiest to get top tier status because you just sign up for the Aspire card and then you've got diamond status. It's the most consistent with those kind of big point bonuses on spend at their hotels. They, as Nick said, regularly get these like 100% or even 200% bonuses. And third, I forget what third is, but anyway.
Good return on the card for spend on property, 14
Oh,
points per dollar.
that's exactly what it was.
Yeah,
Yes,
with the
14
Aspire
points per
card.
dollar.
That's yeah.
Yeah, yeah, all that adds up to huge return on spend at Hilton properties. So if you're staying a lot at Hilton properties, you can do very, very well.
Yep. All right. So let's talk about something else now. We talked about airlines, we talked about hotels. Let's talk about elite treats in terms of rental car companies. So the best rental car company elite benefit, I'm going to say, is the best path to free nights, and that is National Rental Car. Now, whereas Hertz has some complicated point system, and I can't even tell you how many points it takes for a free night, it gets complicated and depends on how much you're spending and blah, blah, blah. With National, it's really simple. As a top tier elite member, if you have executive elite status with National, every 5 rental credits, which means 5 rentals, unless you have really long rentals, you may get more than 1 rental credit. Every 5 rentals, you're going to earn a free night or free rental day rather. And they frequently run a promotion called 1-2 free that accelerates that. You earn a free night every 2 rental credits you earn. That comes around just about every year for, gosh, it feels like about half of the year you get a free rental day for every 2 rentals. And those free rental days we've talked about before are very valuable because they can be used, I think, for any car class. Almost any car class. I think if they've got a Tesla or whatever, you're not going to get that, but you can get a big SUV or a minivan or something like that with your free days. And of course, you don't pay one-way rental fees. If you do a one-way rental, it's
That's
a great
huge.
use of a National free day because the one-way fee is just baked into the daily rate with National. So if the daily rate is free, then you're going to save on that big time. You'll pay some taxes when you pick up at an airport, drop off at an airport, but it's very low. We're talking a few bucks. And so that's totally worthwhile. And I think it has to be my favorite rental car elite perk. I like being able to select the car and the lot, but a lot of programs are kind of going to something like that. I like Nationals where you get to pick kind of nicer cars, I feel like, off the lot when you rent a mid-sized car. But I think the free day path, being very simple to understand and easy to achieve, is a great benefit.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe Hertz will win this award next year when they start making it so that you can get out of jail free when they have you arrested for if you don't know what I'm talking about, just Google Hertz arresting customers. And you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yes, you will. Hopefully, that's the only way you'll see what he's talking about, and not when the police knock on your door. So, yeah,
Right.
Hertz is kind of crazy. It hurts to rent with Hertz. So, and as Tim will tell you, don't rent a Kia, no matter who you rent from. Just don't rent a Kia right now. All
Yeah.
right.
Google
So,
Kia
rental
challenge to see what we're
cars, Kia
talking about there.
challenge. Exactly, exactly. All right. So the last one I want to talk about is casinos. And I am a little bit out of my element in talking about casino elite status because I'm not a big gambler, but that's why I had to include this one. Because if you're not a big gambler, it doesn't matter. Your best option then, particularly if you're not a big gambler, is Caesar's Diamond status. And so if you're not a gambler, you might say, why do I care about casino elite status and how am I going to get Caesar's Diamond? We've talked quite a bit lately about how you can get the Wyndham Earner Business Card, for instance, and that gives you Wyndham Diamond status, and you can match your Wyndham Diamond status to Caesar's Diamond status. So even if you've never gambled a penny in your life, you can sign up for Caesar's Rewards, you can get the Wyndham Business Earner Card, get Wyndham Diamond, match over, and suddenly have this Caesar's Diamond Casino Elite status. And so what's that worth? Well, it could be kind of valuable because at Caesar's properties, you get an annual $100 celebration dinner. Now, that's not only in Las Vegas. There are other Caesar's properties out there where you can use this $100 celebration credit. And Caesar's in a number of states now. So it's worth taking a look and seeing where there might be one where you can use it. So $100 celebration dinner, which if you do this in two-player mode and both partners have Caesar's Diamond status, you can get $200 off the check in one meal. We've done that before in my household. So that can get you a pretty nice meal in Las Vegas or many of these other casinos. So that's a decent benefit off the top. 2 free show tickets every month. I believe that's still a benefit anyway. We've written about it in the past. I haven't been to a Caesar's property in a while now, so I haven't used that one myself. No resort, I haven't used it myself in a while. No resort fees in Las Vegas, which no resort fees is really nice. Everybody likes to tack on resort fees these days. This way you can just look at the nightly rate of the hotel, which if you have Caesar's Diamond status might be free. You should log into your account and take a look at the upcoming rates because oftentimes close in, you'll find some of the properties are totally free or like 10 or 15 or $20 a night and no resort fees. So no resort fee is nice. Free Atlantis stay. You can stay at Atlantis in the Bahamas for 4 nights. Now I say free with sort of quotation marks because you're still going to pay a resort fee that's kind of high there. So it doesn't really work out to be free, but deeply discounted anyway if you're interested in going to Atlantis. And then if you live in a state with a Caesars sports book, you get a monthly $20 free bet as long as you've placed, I can't remember if it's $10 or $20 worth of bets in the previous month on the Sportsbook app, then you get a free $20 bet each month. And so, if you're not a gambler, maybe that doesn't matter. But if you're in a state with a Caesars Sportsbook, it's kind
Yeah.
of a fun
Hey,
little
it's
bonus
way better
anyway.
than nothing.
It is. It is. And you may be able to parlay that elite status into first, since I'm talking about sports books, elite status with other sports books. And that can be worth it, believe it or not. I'm going to leave that there. And then, of course, we've written about parlaying your Caesar's Diamond status into free cruises. And so we've talked a lot about how you can potentially get a free cruise with Carnival with your Caesar's Diamond status and then parlay that Carnival offer into potentially a free cruise with Royal Caribbean and possibly others. So there are a number of different ancillary benefits when you have that elite status. One of the benefits of having elite status is trying to match it into other statuses. So that's certainly something you can give it a shot with your Caesar's Diamond status. So I think that's worth going after if you have access to it. So those are our elite treats, I think, right? That kind of wraps us up.